What's up everyone, we're back. I'm Dr. Shah.
Dr. Maxfield.
Welcome back to our channel, Dr. Lee, where we talk about all things skincare and dermatology. And this is our first video ever on baby skincare or a baby skin condition.
Yep, so timely, of course, Dr. Shah celebrating the birth of his new daughter. I also have a couple of children, so I've been through this before. Call me a seasoned pro, or I've stumbled my way through it myself. That's probably more likely. But we're gonna teach you how to take care of cradle cap. The thick or thin, flaky scabs that build up on a baby's scalp. How do you treat this?
So as a new father, more than ever, safety has become more and more important to me. So I did a ton of research on the products that I was gonna use on her, plus making sure that they're gonna be effective to treating cradle cap at the same time. So all things cradle cap, here we go.
Here we go.
So cradle cap, what does it look like? So most people are gonna notice this yellow, crusty scalp buildup, and you'll actually notice it worse when you're bathing your child. So this is when those plaques are gonna get accentuated. Now, if you have a lighter skin tone, what you'll notice is a little bit of erythema or redness under these plaques, and that's completely normal. And then if you have a darker skin tone, you may notice a little bit of discoloration on the scalp.
Right, so that's what it looks like. But why do babies even get this? So this is from the same yeast that is on our skin as adults. It is the same yeast that causes dandruff. But the sebaceous glands that pump out oils that are actually the food for the yeast are most active when you are a newborn, an infant. Then they become quiescent or less active, and then maximally become active again during puberty. Interestingly, they all but shut off around the age of 60 and 70, but again, at birth and puberty are when these glands are most active.
Colloquially referred to as cradle cap. We basically in dermatology offices treat it as if it's infant dandruff, but the technical term for it is infantile seborrheic dermatitis. And so if you're looking it up, it will be under infantile seborrheic dermatitis. But again, caused by this yeast, and when that yeast builds up, it causes inflammation on that scalp, and that inflammation leads to scaling and flaking. And so in order to treat this condition, you have to treat both the scaling and flaking and the underlying yeast on the scalp if you really do want it to go away.
Personally, both my children had this, one worse than another, but it can be subtle, it can be extremely exaggerated to the point of something called pityriasis amiantaceae. It also can present in other areas as well. So this is a very, what we call in the medical field, like a great mimicker, because it can mimic other conditions. It can appear in the groin area, it can appear in other intertriginous areas, and it can mimic other conditions. Not only do we have these oil glands distributed on the scalp, but we also have them on other areas of the body as well. So this condition can present elsewhere. Classically, we'll see it around the ears, in the ears, causing a lot of scale, even clogging the ears to some extent, the T-zone, and even in the groin. These are the classic areas where those sebaceous glands are highly active at this time in life. And then personal anecdote, just again, we're kind of on this like personal journey now with you as the doctorly dads. This has been very dramatic for my kids. So they both had it, one of them much more than another, and it can be mild, it can be severe, but you could be left wondering like, what in the world do I do with this? Because it can be very dramatic.
So my daughter has it, it's not as extreme, and she gets it mostly on the scalp, but also in the T-zone, including the eyebrows. And so when I treat it, I treat both areas. Now let's talk about how to treat cradle cap. Now, I know if you're a busy parent like I am, I totally understand it now finally. We're gonna put a timestamp here. You're gonna be able to skip to this part of the video, and we're gonna jump right in to how to treat cradle cap. First thing you want to do is the pre-treatment, and actually this is very important. I underestimated this. What I initially used to do is I would put the oil into the scalp, I would let it soak there for maybe 30 minutes, and then I would go right into the bath. You have to start much earlier than that. First, start by pre-treating the scalp with an oil. This can be mineral oil, this can be baby oil, or in my case, we've been using extra virgin coconut oil. And so we put some coconut oil a little bit into the scalp, we massage it in there, and we leave it in there for almost 4 hours or longer. This is gonna really help to dissolve the scale, like dissolves like. Those oils are gonna basically help to break it up, and that makes it easier to remove these scales during your shower.
And we'll just contrast that quickly with what you'll see for adults, because you will see this on the shelf, not in the baby section. Salicylic acid is another thing that has been used to break up scale, and it will do that. The problem is babies have big heads, disproportionate to the rest of their body, and they have a greater likelihood of absorbing ingredients. So you do not want them to absorb salicylic acid so they don't get a condition called salicylism. But basically you're going to substitute in one of those oily substances here instead.
So now you've let it set in there for a little bit. You're gonna prepare her bath or his bath, and then you're gonna use a regular shampoo. So we're gonna go from more gentle version to the more medicated versions of this. So I would try this first, especially if you have mild seborrheic dermatitis. We can talk about medicated shampoos right after this, but I would simply just use a regular non-medicated shampoo at first, because for some people who have mild seborrheic dermatitis or mild cradle cap, then you could do what I'm doing for my daughter, which is using a simple, gentle cleanser. This one is from CeraVe. This is their wash and shampoo. I basically just massage it into her scalp and then I wash it out. And then really importantly afterwards, now that these scales are really gonna be dissolved, they're softer, they're less adherent, they're not sticking to the scalp because you don't want to pick at them. What you're going to do is use this soft brush to basically massage up those scales. That's going to help lift them off the scalp without being too harsh. You want to really do this in a very gentle way to help lift them off. This one is from Frida Baby. And then while we're still in the shower, we use this comb on her scalp to basically, almost like lice, we basically lift those scales off of her scalp very, very gently. And then again, we wash her scalp again with water to kind of rinse out those scales that have accumulated. And that's basically all that you need to do in the very beginning, especially if it's mild. Now let's talk about some of the medicated shampoos that you can use and medicated treatments that you can use if this gentle form does not work for you.
So there are multiple ingredients here that have been used to treat dandruff. Ketoconazole, selenium sulfide, zinc pyrithione, and I said them in that order deliberately because ketoconazole in Nizoral shampoo, at the moment,
there's some remedies working on a dandruff shampoo.
So, I don't know where this lives, but basically you're gonna look for a shampoo with ketoconazole in it over the counter. This is one of the ingredients that has been studied in this younger age group and has been shown or thought to be safe. It's also highly effective against this yeast, can be very effective overall. Now the other ones you'll see, which are again zinc pyrithione and then selenium sulfide, commonly used. There's just not much data on their safety in this younger age population. So can you use them? I would think probably, and I think most doctors or many doctors will feel okay with this, but just know that there's less evidence showing that this is safe for those kids, although it probably is.
Right, so the one that has the most data for cradle cap specifically would be your 1% ketoconazole shampoo or 2% ketoconazole shampoo, also known as Nizoral. I mean, he mentioned that Remedy is working on a dandruff shampoo. It might be out by now, it might not be out by now, but it probably isn't gonna be the best for a child really at this point. So I would save that one for the adults, quite honestly. I would say though that CeraVe now does, and I feel like I'm plugging CeraVe over, this is not intentional, but CeraVe does have a fragrance-free dandruff shampoo with zinc pyrithione in it. Again, not well studied, but it is fragrance-free. It's the only dandruff shampoo that's fragrance-free other than what we're coming out with Remedy.
So, and actually there's another brand that exists, although I don't see it getting enough attention that it deserves. It's Happy Cappy. I'm just looking at it here. They sent this to me when I had kids and I found it to be a nice sensitive skin option. So it has zinc pyrithione, licorice, apple provitamin, panthenol, sorry. And then also no fragrance, no dyes. So another good option here and another good line if you're looking for something for your kid.
Yeah, I didn't even know about this one. This is another fragrance-free zinc pyrithione based shampoo. But again, ketoconazole has been shown to be more effective in this area. It's just they have tons of fragrances and dyes and all kinds of stuff in their Nizoral shampoo. Fine. Okay, so those would be the ones that you would start with. The other option that you can have is topically. You can use a topical ketoconazole cream, or you can use a topical hydrocortisone. Now, hydrocortisone 1% is available over the counter. I'm always very hesitant to recommend hydrocortisone for anybody because one, if you use it for too long, it can thin out the skin. You can also get something called steroid withdrawal syndrome. So you really just don't want to use this for an extended period of time and use this as a band-aid to solve your problem. But for short periods of time, hydrocortisone and ketoconazole seem to be equally efficacious. But if somebody has seborrheic dermatitis in the groin, I would not use hydrocortisone in that area just because on that thin intertriginous skin, it can occlude it and make that hydrocortisone more effective or more irritating or more thinning of the skin. So you want to be very careful using hydrocortisone in the groin, but hydrocortisone and ketoconazole seem to be equally effective in treating seborrheic dermatitis in infants.
The way I frame it for parents, because sometimes, so again, anecdote here, we're just kind of sharing our experience. My son specifically needed a topical steroid. Trust me, we did all of those steps for 6 months and it was only getting worse. And so we had to resort to something stronger. So the way I organize it is topical steroids are for the flares. Everything else is for the maintenance. And that way you make sure you're using those topical steroids judiciously and sparingly. And then it should get to a place where the maintenance is sufficient and you can avoid those other things altogether.
So to basically summarize Cradle Cap, first, you could do nothing because it is harmless and sometimes it does go away on its own. Second, you would want to use an oil, soak it in there, follow it with a shampoo, and then gently remove those scales in the bath. And if that works, you're done. If that doesn't work, move on to a ketoconazole shampoo or a topical over-the-counter hydrocortisone for a very brief period of time. If that still doesn't work, go to see your dermatologist for prescription treatments that are going to be even more effective than your at-home treatments. But hopefully it gets better. I know it's difficult being a new parent, but all of these issues get better and it's such a beautiful thing. So congratulations on your child. I'm going through it right now. I don't know if you can hear the crying in the background. I do have to hop to go take care of that, but we will see you all in the next video. Please like, comment, and subscribe.
And I'm gonna caveat one thing here too. You can even run if you want to, but if it does not get better, if this condition does not get better, there are mimickers of this cradle cap seborrheic dermatitis, especially if it's extensive elsewhere on the body. If it doesn't get better, you followed all these steps and there's still no improvement, it can be very important actually to confirm the diagnosis, especially if you're struggling with this stubborn condition. But I also hope this was helpful for you. So does Dr. Shah. And we will see you next time. Let us know if you like this type of content, especially as a parent. Like, we want to equip you because we do so much work obviously at home as parents to try to make sure things are safe and effective for our kids. And so we want to equip you with that same knowledge. And we will see you next time. We'll see you next time, says I, does Dr. Shah. So.